Hatred and distrust of government didn't start with Ronald Reagan saying, "The 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help." There was plenty of ill feeling about the government long before then, but he did a great job of fanning the flames to ensure there were a lot of pissed off people who would vote for the Republicans who fed their biases. That pattern has continued all the way to today, but there are stark differences. Now, there's no facet of reality that is safe from attack and denial if it feeds a politician's self-interest. Now there is no lie too obscene to tell if it feeds self-interest. Now there are politicians lying their asses off in supplication to the insurrectionist in chief. They do that because that's how they think they'll get to keep their jobs, retain a sense of power, and inflate their egos. And their refusal to stand up to what they know with certainty is wrong encourages more and worse destruction of our democracy and our national safety. Hate-filled angry mobs stormed the U.S. Capitol building. The felons trespassed, they rioted, vandalized, threatened and disrupted democracy, and planted at least one bomb in the Capitol building. I just have a few questions about that. Trump invited angry mobs to show up that day, including the Proud Boys and neo-Nazis. Their arrival was no surprise to anyone. The authorities had days, perhaps weeks, to prepare. Why were they totally unprepared and grossly short of manpower to deal with the lawbreakers? Note that this happened on federal property, so it wasn't a DC police issue. Somebody in the federal government failed us all. Why wasn't the DC National Guard stationed around the Capitol building by 6 a.m.? Everyone knew an angry mob was going to show up. Where were the Homeland Security thugs who terrorized Portland, Milwaukee, and other cities last summer? The excuse given for sending them to those cities was to protect federal property. By that logic, there was no better place for them to be on January 6th than at the Capitol building. But they were nowhere to be seen. Why were there so few arrests made? Why aren't the DC jails jammed full of perps? What do you think would have happened, get this now, if that same number of protesters showed up, but instead of being right-wing nuts, they were Black Lives Matter protesters, like the peaceful protesters in Lafayette Square Park last summer that Trump brutalized and excoriated? Where are the cops in riot gear with scary black SWAT vehicles to intimidate the bad guys? There's a lot to learn and there are new procedures to establish, but perhaps the most urgent, critical action is to impeach Donald Trump immediately so that he can never again hold federal office. Wait. That would require Senate Republicans to find a spine. Never mind. In a different moment of far-right hate and bile spewing, John Lewis implored, "We're better than this." In his address yesterday, Joe Biden said, "This is not who we are." I have news for both of them. We are not better than this, but we could be. And this is exactly who we are, but we don't have to be that way. I'm Jack Altshuler.